Hang on.
Okay. How are we going?
You're on. You're on.
We're on.
We're on. Very good evening, everyone, and welcome to Blue Sunday here on In the Blue Corner channel. Vince Loccisano with you, joined tonight by the one and only Rocco Stenuti from that very popular YouTube show, The Jumper Punch. And thanks very much for joining us tonight, Rocco, in the absence of Steve Khatib, who unfortunately couldn't be with us this evening. So thanks for stepping in, mate.
No drama. My pleasure. We're at the JP headquarters here, and in actual fact, we've...
Yes, it looks like you've got the background there.
Yeah, we've got the background. So we just finished taping the show just a few hours ago. So, yeah. So
fantastic.
And now we're ready to do this one. So how are we going there?
So we should just mention to everyone, for those of you who may not know what we're talking about, the Jumper Punch, probably the most popular Carlton-related YouTube program, is on every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on YouTube. And in fact, Rocco, you've got your own channel now, the Jumper Punch channel.
We have got the Jumper Punch channel, which is just for our extra footage and interviews, which you're a part of, Vince.
Yes.
Interviews. So we started doing, some player interviews this year, and they were going a lot longer than what we expected, which is good. So we put them all on the show. So we decided to show clips of it and then move over to the other channel to watch the full interview. And this week, it's I can tell you this week it's
episode number 28, isn't it?
28, and we've got the best name in the business, Spiro Korkamillis.
Fantastic. Spiro, back in the 80s, of course, used to play for Carlton through that early to mid 1980s period, and a permanent fixture of our midfield back in the day. So that should be an interesting watch on Tuesday night. The famous number 28, worn by Spiro.
Definitely. And after another win, which we're going to talk about now too, aren't we? So
we certainly are. Why don't we open up with that? What a fantastic victory it was on Thursday night to knock over last year's grand finalists, the Western Bulldogs. And first time we've won both rounds 1 and 2 since 2012, since 10 years ago. What a feeling it is for Carlton supporters, many of whom probably can't even remember the last time we won 2 in a row.
No, a lot of the younger ones just wouldn't remember how it feels like. I went with my son, and I said this last week, just watching him with such excitement is I've actually got this. I'm excited, don't get me wrong, but I've got this calmness about me now. Just that it's like I'm just sitting back and watching it, and I'm actually enjoying the young people enjoying this, because unlike me and you, they haven't seen this, man. We were used to this week in, week out, So
yeah, that's right. Well, I guess you and I are of the ilk, being let's not. I don't think we're breaking any secrets to say we're both in our early 50s. Exactly. But we at least lived in an era where success was just something that went hand in hand with the Carlton Football Club. 100%. And a lot of these younger people today, like your son would be what, 16, 17?
He's 16.
Yeah, I've got a 17-year-old son. So last time we won 2 in a row, the first 2 games of the season, they wouldn't be able to remember that. They were only 6 or 7 years old. So
he's absolutely ecstatic. You got to see him, man. He's ecstatic, and his confidence now, and he's seen some good footy. Like, it's good just to watch.
Well, that's the other thing. The quality of football being played is actually really quite exciting, isn't it?
It's unreal. It's just exciting. It really does remind me. I'm not saying we're 95, but it reminds me of. I know it's only 2 games, but it just reminds me of that 95, 93, 94, 95 period. You always thought you were going to win, So
yeah,
it's really exciting, and So anyway, it was a big game. Yeah. We needed to win it, and we did. We needed to win it, and we got
Well,
challenged.
we said we needed to win that one against Richmond in round one. Otherwise, it was like, the whole season gets off on the wrong foot. Now, we managed to do that quite convincingly in the end. This one, slightly different, where it wasn't a comeback win like it was against Richmond, where we were 20 points down, early in the last quarter and came home and stormed home, 7 goals to nothing to end up winning by 25 points. This was different. We actually got off to a really good lead. I think it was 37 points at one stage, and then they started to peg us back. But we did enough to stem the tide, and it was signs of a good team that can do that.
100%, and that's exactly what we needed. I'm actually happier that they challenged us instead of winning by 60 points, because in the first round, I'm telling you, the first 2 rounds are almost like last year, but we've turned the tide, I mean, we were 35 points up at one stage. We were the same kind of score last year.
That's right.
But we fell away. And this time we were 35. But if you notice, we had like different gears in the second half. We slowed it down at times. And I don't know, I wasn't really that nervous, like we slowed it down when we had to. Yeah, they came. They missed a few goals. Everyone will say, they missed a lot of goals. Yeah, so what? You know what I mean? That's bad footy. That's not my fault. You missed your goals. But look where they were having their shots from too. They were having from like the 50 up near the boundary. So we were pushing them wide. We were making it hard for them. We slowed it down, and we got the points. Sometimes you just have to get the points, and we did.
That's right. We did. Yeah. No, look, they looked like they were going to challenge us and possibly overtake us if we weren't good enough and mentally strong enough. But we did. I think they got to within a couple of goals, and then Charlie kicked a beautiful goal from near the boundary line, Charlie Curnow, and that put us 3 goals ahead again. And when he did that, I thought, I reckon we're going to hold on here.
Yeah.
And we were good enough to win.
Yeah, how many crunch goals by Curnow, Harry, Silvani, even our captain now, like he's like a bull now, but especially them three, especially Harry in the first half. Yeah. And then Charlie in the second half, they kicked those goals when we needed them. I mean, that goal by Curnow on the boundary when he just kicked a beautiful just drop punt. He didn't even go around the corner, just drop punt straight through the centre. Man, that was huge, that goal, So,
Indeed. And he must enjoy playing against the Western Bulldogs, because the last game I can recall him really sort of dominating was against them again. I think he kicked 7 about 3 years ago.
Now he's kicked 5. Yeah, he's looking good too. He's bouncing around. He's running up the ground. He's tackling. He's looking good. I thought he'd never get back to his best. Yeah, but I still think there's a bit of time to go. Like, it's only 2 games. It's a long season. But look, he's looking good. He's looking lively, and the rest of the team's looking lively too. Another good thing was someone like Fogarty. He comes into the side, you lose Martin and you go, you've lost Martin, we're going to be Fogarty. In years gone by, we'd worry, but it was almost like, no, he's there to fill a position, and he did. He did beautifully. He just filled the spot, and that's exactly what we need to do. We can't worry about who's in and out. We just worry about filling that position, and he did that beautifully. I'm even wondering, how can we drop him this week?
That's a very good question. It's a nice dilemma to have, isn't it? If you're the
it is a dilemma to have.
If you're the match committee. But I thought also the forwards, the key forwards like Mackay and Curnow had to do something this week, because the first week, while they weren't bad, between I think Mackay, Curnow and De Koning, they only had 1 goal between them against Richmond. So you just felt like this time it had to be them that really stepped up and helped us to get over the line. And that's what they did. I think Mackay and Curnow really did that.
And 9 goals between them, like, seriously.
Yeah.
Them up and about, seriously, if that's not the best tall forward combination in the business at the moment, I don't know what is it. When you get them 2 going the way they did, because if it wasn't one, as we said, Mackay took care of business in the first half. And then Curnow in the second half, like the Western Bulldogs must have been thinking, like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know, stop anymore, And then when McKay's kicking goals, there was one goal where Curnow kicked it to McKay in the goal square, It's like they're just combining so beautifully, and they know when to spread. They know where to give each other space. I'm just amazed how much the team, just the dynamics of it has changed in 5 months. It's quite amazing. And if anyone says they knew this was coming, they're full of shit. I'll tell you right now. There's no way people saw this coming. I know it's only 2 weeks and it all could go to shit in the next 2 weeks, but I don't think so. The way they're playing, this brand, the way they're moving the ball, the way they're looking for each other, handballing, look at the disposals. I think they've got the most disposals in the whole competition at the moment, So
yeah, look, they've improved immeasurably over. Well, in the first 2 weeks this year compared to what they averaged last year, some of the metrics are unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. We didn't even have a coach this week. We coached ourselves.
I was just going to say, Michael Voss, we don't need you. You can go.
But that's again, it's the system, like really.
Yeah, Ashley Hansen's there too.
Match day, what a coach maybe makes a move or two and that, but at the end of the day, all the work's been done.
Yes, it's all in the preparation, isn't it?
Of course. You can't go into match day thinking that the coach is going to win you the game, All the work's been done. And sorry, what was the assistant's coach? I'm just...
Ashley Hansen. Ashley Hansen.
He stepped into the job and he's done a great job,
And we actually, ironically, got him from the Western Bulldogs where he used to be an assistant last year. So... Anyway, it's funny how things work out, but Michael Voss no doubt would have been in his ear at various stages throughout the night. And, even though he couldn't be there in person, I'm sure he put in his 2 bobs worth at various points in time.
Apparently so. He wasn't talking directly to Hansen. He was talking to someone else, apparently. I think that's a good move. You don't want to be in the coach's ear as you go. But he was relaying. And he also had... At home, he had like seven different views he had behind the goal vision and that. So it was like he was in the box anyway.
Yeah. No, a little birdie tells me that Michael Voss was on the phone to Sid Jackson, and Sid Jackson was passing on the messages to Ashley Hansen. Well, that's a little bit of an in-joke that one day you'll find a bit about on the jumper punch. Yeah. But anyway. We move along, and it's an exciting time for Carlton supporters, 2-0. But just when we thought that the first 2 games might be the hardest 2 to get over, and it might be smooth sailing for the next 2, isn't it amazing how things have changed this season compared to last? I mean, I think only 3 out of the top 8 teams from last year have won their first 2 games.
Oh,
and wow. I think that's Melbourne. The Sydney Swans, and Brisbane. Now,
there you go.
The others, I think Geelong's won one of their first 2 because they lost to Sydney. But Port Adelaide, Western Bulldogs, who finished in the grand final, GWS, and Essendon, those 4 teams have lost their first 2. Yeah. So 4 out of last year's top 8 teams have actually lost their first 2 games this year. So it's amazing how things can change. Carlton is up in the top 6, I think it is, with our first 2 games. Hawthorn has won their first 2 games. So getting back to my original point, we thought we might have had a slightly easier game against Hawthorn, but geez, they're playing an exciting brand of football too under their new coach, Sam Mitchell. So it's the 2 new coaches going head-to-head next Sunday, Carlton and Hawthorn.
I agree. It's going to be the brand new 2 coaches, so we'll see what happens to that.
Great rivalry, of course, Carlton and Hawthorn back in the 80s.
Yeah, well, that's it. There is a big rivalry. We actually do we do our little segment this week on Talking Blue on a big game back in the 80s, so that'll be good viewing. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting game. But if you look, I don't know. If I look at it, I saw Hawthorn play. They got really smashed in the middle anyway. I think we can take them there. Listen, it's going to be tough. Of course, all games are, but I think we've got them. I'm just confident of the different styles of play. But it is interesting. It is interesting how how bad Port's going.
This is the thing. I mean, Port Adelaide, I don't know if it's because they're missing Charlie Dixon badly or what it is, but they just don't. I mean, forget the full forward. You've got to get the ball down to him, and they just haven't been getting the ball into their forward line very much. So Port Adelaide, something's gone terribly wrong there since last year. Yep. Hawthorn absolutely smashed them on their own home ground by well over 10 goals.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
You know, so Hawthorn's really another team on the rise that's showing a lot of promise. So it really does shape to be now a bit of a blockbuster, Carlton and Hawthorn next Sunday.
It's huge. It's probably, I don't know the other games, but it's almost a match of the round now.
Well, when you compare, I'll just have a quick look at the other games. You got the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are playing the Sydney Swans on Thursday night.
Bulldogs
you got to say that they are looking like, they're walking wounded a little bit. That they badly missed Bailey Smith, I think, on Thursday night against us.
Definitely.
They would hope to get him back. But nevertheless, they desperately need this win against the Sydney Swans, who have won their first two matches. If they lose that game, their season's looking really shaky.
Well, how many teams have made the finals after being 0-3? I'm telling you, you go
not too many.
We know that. How many times are you going to make the finals being 0? Well, they apparently only one side, which I think was Sydney, maybe two in the last 10 or 12 years, have made the 8 after being 2-0. So already it's against them.
You mean 0-2? Yeah, 0 wins, 2 losses.
Yeah, let alone 0.
Yeah. Well, after that, you've got Melbourne versus Essendon on Friday night. Now, that'll be a big game. The last year's premiers versus Essendon, who have, again, gotten off to a shocking start, 2 losses. Really bad one against Geelong.
Yeah, they got
and they lost again yesterday, playing against the Brisbane Lions at home, and they lost to Brisbane by 22 points. So,
and they were
that also shapes up as a big clash. Essendon's currently on the bottom of the ladder. Doesn't that feel good for a Carlton supporter? Then you got the South Australian showdown, Adelaide versus Port Adelaide, and both teams have lost both their first 2 games.
That's going to be big on.
Whoever wins that's going to be breathing a sigh of relief, but whoever loses it, again, finals are looking really shaky.
Pretty much over.
Yeah, pretty much. Then you've got the Giants versus the Suns. Now, the Giants have lost their first 2 games, and the Gold Coast have actually looked reasonably good. I mean, they only lost to Melbourne by, 19 points?
Yeah.
And Melbourne won the premiership last year, and they beat West Coast over in Perth last week. So the Suns,
you remember,
you'd have to say that they're a reasonable team.
Well, they did recruit the cockroach, so.
Levi Casbolt is the answer to your forward line. I think Giants will probably go in favourite only because it's in Sydney. But really, the Suns should have a big say in that game. You got Collingwood, who have again gotten off to a great start like ourselves. They've won their first 2 games. They're up against Geelong. That should be a big game.
That's going to be a big game.
Geelong would be looking forward to, I guess, getting back on the winners list after losing to Sydney in the famous Buddy Franklin 1,000th goal match, which we'll cover very shortly. Brisbane versus North Melbourne at the Gabba. You'd have to say Brisbane will go in pretty strong favourite, but North Melbourne played very well today to beat West Coast. You got St Kilda, who's currently playing, by the way, over in Perth against Fremantle.
They're up by 3 goals right at this moment. So they're
right. Well, there you go. They're playing pretty well.
It's
now they are up against Richmond. So if St Kilda holds on to win tonight, you've got both sides having 1 win and 1 loss up against each other. And finally, you got a West Australian derby with the Eagles playing the Dockers, and the Eagles have lost both of their matches. The Dockers have won their first one, but look like they might drop this one tonight. So why wouldn't Carlton and Hawthorn 6th versus 1st, both two unbeaten teams, be the blockbuster of the round, Rocco?
I can't see why not. They're both playing exciting football. Like the Blues are definitely playing. Hawthorn look like they're playing some exciting football. Two young and emerging sides. Really, it's 1st versus 6th only by percentage.
That's right, only by percentage.
I'm going to give out, I don't know if the AFL's listening to this, but if they are, I'm telling you, mate, I know you've already scheduled to round 9. I'm telling you, round 10.
We need some Friday night games.
We don't get at least bloody 5 or 6 Friday night games. You're mad, mate. I'm telling you now.
Yep.
You want to see some exciting football, you start putting Carlton, Collingwood. Collingwood's playing some exciting football too. Even Hawthorn and that. Like, think about it. I
agree. Well, don't forget, in round 11 we play Collingwood, and in round 13 we play Essendon. So you'd like to think those two matches would be a big chance of being Friday night games. But anyway, I guess they'll
14 we got Richmond.
That's right. 14 you got Richmond.
In a row, man. There's 3 Friday nights right there, mate.
Sounds like you going to the footy on a Friday night suits you down to the ground at the MCG.
I think it's well, first of all, it's the blockbuster, a Friday night. It's good for everybody.
Should the Friday night be the blockbuster schedule, or is there a place for the Saturday afternoon at 2:00? Carlton and Collingwood, or Carlton and Essendon?
No, there definitely is. But as far as like TV and that, it's Friday night. Not even Saturday night. Because Saturday night people go out.
Yeah, true.
I don't even think it's Friday night. Look, Saturday afternoon is a beautiful time to go and watch football. But as far as like ratings and all that, it's Friday night.
True.
That's the prime time. So
I think if Collingwood keeps going the way they are, and we keep going the way we are, that Carlton Collingwood match shapes up as a big chance for a Friday night in round 11.
Has to be. I'll take any Friday and Saturdays. I've had enough of. Well, we're going to see. We've got Sunday for. We got like 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we've got 5 Sundays in the next 7 weeks.
Yeah. But Rocco, I think the other consideration that the AFL takes into account is brand and the brand of football you're playing. And is it exciting? And is it something that people would want to watch on a Friday night? And we remember a few years ago how we used to get a few Friday nights scheduled and we were getting smashed and we were playing a poor brand of football. And people were saying, why is Carlton getting Friday nights? It's a disgrace. And probably fair enough back then. But I think now we're starting to show that we actually have a brand of football that's actually exciting to watch. 100%. And people are enjoying watching us play.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
even people that are not Carlton supporters.
No, it's as good as any football being played out there at the moment. It's exciting, it's fast, we're scoring goals, we're tough. It's everything you want.
Can I ask you something? What do you think has been the major difference between the way we were playing last year and the way we have started off this year? Is it just bringing in a brand new coach and a team of coaches, or are there other things at play here?
No, there has to be other things. It can't be just the coach. It has to be other things. So look, whenever there's a disaster or whenever there's something good, it's never one thing. It's always like a minimum of 3 things have to change,
Right. So what do you put it down to?
Well, it's definitely their style of play. So the way they're playing now, you can see that the way they're moving the ball, the way they're setting themselves up around the ball also, you know what I mean? You can see there's a bit more of they're setting up a couple behind the play and the way they're setting up around the contest, the way they're moving the ball, the way they're always looking for that next handball, the way they're slowing it down. This is all through the coaching, So they're coaching. I'm just surprised they've got a hold of it so quick, right?
Yeah.
But it's that, and then soon as that happened, I think Voss and the coaching staff has brought in this confidence into the side all of a sudden. So I think it's a bit of style and a bit of confidence, and then winning those first two games is definitely going to, hold them instead. But that confidence, because you see him now, and Cribbs doing well too. That's another thing. Like Cribbs being so good in the middle, it's drawing players to him. It's releasing other players. You know what I mean? It's a whole thing. And then if you notice a couple of times with, like, for example, Cribbs, he would get the ball and he'd almost handball into space. Like, have a look. Like, it's almost like almost Greg Williams like. Let's not compare them, but it's almost like they've said, right, you have to be there, and they're handballing, and the players are getting into those positions. Last year we weren't doing that. We had 2 or 3 going for the ball. There'd be no one on the outside. It's almost they're trusting each other, and that has to go down to the coaching, the coach and the coaching panel instilling this confidence into them, you know, because let's admit it, like, we had the players. We had players. Like, we haven't got shit players. We've got players. We've got some really good A-grade players. You know what I mean? So, what was it? It's got to be system, and I think that's the big change. You know, and in saying that, you know, like the top end, the board, and all that, I think the changes there have somehow worked well for them. It's brought confidence into everyone. I don't know what they've done, but it's definitely working at the moment.
Yep. Yes, well, I guess you'd have to put a lot of this down to coaching and game plan and system, as you describe it. There's no doubt about that, and I believe Greg Williams is taking a far more active approach and a proactive approach to being a director of football, to the point where he's actually out there quite a lot on the ground, you know, communicating with the coaching staff and the various people in charge of the football department. Whereas I think who he replaced, Chris Judd, wasn't really taking an active role at the time. I think he almost checked out early last year. So
I think so.
So to a large extent, I think what we're seeing now is almost a delayed reaction compared with what may have been possible even last year. Because I know that we've had a couple of additional players thrown in, like Chera and Hewitt, and they've made some difference. But
I think they made a huge difference.
You can't tell me that just a couple of players makes all the difference. Not impossible.
Well, if that was the case, there would have been a difference last year with Williams and Sard, because they were
That's right. Good point.
High, and there wasn't that change. In actual fact, they probably had one of the worst years, those two players, that they've ever had, and they come, you know, like as A-grade players. So, look, definitely Chera's class. Hewitt,
absolutely,
I think, is our best recruit. He is. I never took any notice of him at Sydney, so I knew nothing about him, you know, but my God, he's a workhorse. He's big, he's strong. Now, all of a sudden, if you look at that midfield with those inclusions, Walsh another year, my God, they look big and strong. And with Cribbs taking control and, you know, being that, what we called him the $6 million man. He is now the $6 million man. He beat that. I'm telling you, teams have got to be scared. They've got to be looking at that, and now they're scared. Cribbs is a beast.
Yeah. He's back to his best from 2018, 2019, isn't he?
Unbelievable.
He's back to being that midfield contested ball beast who wins clearance after clearance after clearance.
And he's adding goals now. Now he kicks goals.
Yeah, and he's kicking bags of goals. Yeah.
And then you go, like, look at Walsh. He came back this week, which is just...
I was going to ask you about Walsh. I mean, what an amazing comeback. He was touted as being no way before the round 4 or 5. He ends up coming back in round 2, and he slots back in and gets, 35 possessions, like it was like he hadn't been missing at all.
And you know what's
unbelievable?
You know what's good about that? I didn't even really notice him that much. Like, he was just there. Don't get me wrong. He had a good game. But between me and you, I didn't even put him in my votes. I didn't notice. But that's good. That's good.
It's good that we're not relying on him or anyone else, for that matter, in isolation to make us a good team. I mean, last year Walsh was the shining light, the beam of hope and he got, 30 votes in the Brownlow in a pretty average team, let's be honest. But this year, the good thing is that we're not going to have to rely on him to get 3 votes after 3 votes in the Brownlow to be competitive in any game.
No, I agree. And how good, like next week, Chera comes in. I'm telling you, that midfield, like before last year, I was thinking, we're not deep enough. We're still not deep enough, you know.
Yeah.
But now we look deep, you know. Now
you got to hand it to our list management and recruiting staff to have identified 2 possible recruits and chased them and actually secured them in Chera and Hewitt. Now, there are a couple of others, but those 2 mainly, to have boosted our midfield the way they have with them, has been a masterstroke. And now we're going from a midfield that looked really thin to a midfield that looks really strong. I mean, Eddie Curnow can't get a game at the moment.
Well, that's it.
You know,
and that's good.
He used to be a staple, member of the midfield, and now he can't get a game. So that's a good dilemma to have, isn't it?
100%. If he can't get in, I always said we need Curnow not playing, if that made sense, because we need the youngsters to come through. Well, tell me, what's a better midfield out there?
I can't name one at the moment. Not at the moment. I mean, if you look at the numbers, our midfielders are getting 30 possessions each minimum. Each. I mean, I'm talking Cripps, Walsh, Hewitt. Chera didn't play this week, but last week he got 30-odd. So they're all getting their fair share of the ball, and they're actually having an impact. That's the thing.
Yeah. And the other big one, I actually mentioned him this week, was Pitternet.
Yes, our ruckman. He was tapping the ball down to our players, Rocco.
What's going on? He could not hit a person last year, and now, so is that is improved, but is that system too now?
Well, it must be. You'd think so.
He's getting to a spot where they are now, you know, like I'm telling you.
Maybe now he's being told where to hit it and where and the midfielders are being told where to run, and he's actually getting them.
It's amazing, man. I was watching him at the game. I'm going, I don't think he missed one hit out. Yeah, he does a few Percy Jones there and misses the ball and all that, you know, like he does. But he's a ruckman. They're all big buffoons. You know, they run around and they trip over each other and all that. Yeah. But what he does with that tap work is now I really, I'm impressed with him. I'm good on him. Yeah. He really does a lot of hard work. And that also gives now TDK some time
to develop,
Imagine putting TDK in there now. He would get slaughtered by English.
You get monstered by some of those others because his body is still developing too, isn't it? I mean, he's not fully developed yet.
He comes in there, he does like a quarter or so of rucking. Last week was good because that last quarter he was full of energy and he took control. And then this week, I think he only got like 10 or 11 possessions, you know. But you know, like he's doing some work around the ground. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. Well, and we've got to also mention, unfortunately, the injury to Oscar McDonald. And, of course, that gave Lockie Plowman an opportunity to get on the ground. And I guess we need to now cover, assuming he's going to be missing for at least a week or two, we need to cover Oscar McDonald.
Yeah, so he's been another one that's kind of like, I thought he was all right. I mean, he didn't only play one quarter last year, but he looked like he was a likely type, and he started well this year, so that's a shame. But again, system. So we'll put someone in there. Now, you ask, who do you put in there? I don't think Plowman gets a gig.
No, I don't either.
In the reserve.
In fact, I think there are players that have been, I guess, to a large extent, lambasted by the Carlton faithful for being soft or being, just not hard enough at the ball. Paddy Dow, Lockie Plowman, these types, they're not getting a game at the moment under Voss. I think unless they can show that they're going to be hard at it, they're just not going to get a game. And Plowman is someone who's been often in our top 3, 4, or 5 in the best and fairest. But again, he's being identified as a weakness up until now with Voss. So
in the reserves, I think it was Lewis.
Well, Lewis has got to, young Lewis has got to be given an opportunity at some stage.
Well, he did. He had a not bad game.
Is it Lewis? Lewis Young, sorry. Lewis Young, I guess.
Lewis Young, that's the one. He had a not bad game in the reserves, apparently. So,
Brody Kemp's another one that's have to be a chance.
Kemp didn't have such a good game. So, he only had like 6 or 7 possessions. He did
well,
it.
He's still a young player developing.
He's still a young, so there's plenty of time for them. So, I'm not really stressed out. But I reckon this Lewis Young might get a gig this week. And give him a go. Why not? He had a good reserves game. So, and if we need someone and we need someone to step up, why not?
Yep. Well, it's as you said, it's all about system, and it's all about saying, okay, one player is no longer available, another player steps in and fills that void.
Yeah.
All right, Rock. I guess we've talked about Carlton and the team with reasonable detail there, and we go into the game against Hawthorn with a lot of confidence, but also wary that hey, we're not up against an easy beat. That they may have been a slightly easy beat last year, but I think they finished off last year very strongly, and now Sam Mitchell has picked up from where they left off and got them to have 2 very impressive wins, especially last night against Port Adelaide. They were very, very impressive on enemy territory.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm actually looking forward to we had challenges every week. First week, let's beat Richmond. Second week, we have to back it up. This third week now is huge, man. If we win this week, we're up and about.
We'll be up in the top 3, top 2, top 3. Probably.
We're up and about. If we win this week, we've almost done every challenge so far.
Yep.
But we could go.
Then we go for our first interstate match the week after against the Gold Coast. On the Gold Coast, and that'll be a challenging game too. But we can certainly go in there with some confidence and maybe a 4-0 start. Who knows? Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Which is shit. So we'll beat them.
Port Adelaide again would have been considered a team that would have smashed us because the last time we played them was over there. And they kicked those 19 goals in a row, if you remember, in that second last match last year.
95 points, 1995 Illuminati last year.
That's right, 19 goals. We lost by 95 points. So who knows? This year we might be able to turn it around and maybe even knock them off. Who knows?
No, I think
anything's possible. Every season's different, isn't it?
We're giving ourselves a chance. Of course, every season's different, man. And I'm telling you, another thing that other teams too, which is amazing about the psyche of teams and players is they're definitely now looking at Carlton as a different side. So when they go into the game, they're not going in thinking, oh, this is going to be easy. They're going to be going in going, whoa, this midfield's going to be tough. Gee, we got those 2 big twin towers at the front. What are we going to do there? So their psychic changes. So the way they play now changes. They go a little bit more defensive, you know what I mean? They worry about the tag now, instead of it takes them off their game. The whole thing's changed this year. The whole thing's changed.
Yeah. As Lee Matthews used to tell his Brisbane Lions team, last year we won the flag, for example, when they won in 2001. He said this year, everyone starts off equal. Everybody. Anything's possible. And what you did last year means absolutely nothing. Every season's different. Other clubs will have had changes to personnel, whether it be coaches, whether it be players. Other clubs will have different game plans this year compared to last year. So we're starting no better and no worse than anyone else. It's a whole brand new season. So it's a clean slate. So it doesn't matter whether you finished last year. It doesn't mean you can't finish first this year. And I think that's a great way to look at every season when you first start off.
100%. So it's going to be big game. Go Blues.
Absolutely. Now, we're gonna have a slightly shorter show tonight compared to most others that we do, which probably won't be a bad thing. Yeah. So we've probably got about 20 minutes to go, Rocco. But let's just touch on a couple of other things that have been happening in the world of AFL. Now, I think let's be honest, the big news was Buddy Franklin finally reaching 1,000 goals and probably, as most people are suspecting, will be the last player to do this, but considering the way the game's gone. what a tremendous achievement. Only the 6th player in AFL history, VFL, AFL history to do it. And what a way to do it in front of his home fans at the Sydney Cricket Ground against a really good opponent in Geelong. And he did it with only, 5 minutes or so, 5 to 6 minutes to go in the last quarter.
It's almost like they ripped the script down.
I know. I couldn't help but think, I wonder how orchestrated this is.
Oh, man, it was unreal. Even that.
What did you think? What did you think of the crowd invasion? A few people have expressed their sort of uncomfortableness about having these hordes of fans just swarming the ground and the potential for disaster where people could potentially get trodden on or stepped on or even killed. Who knows?
Yeah,
what did you think?
I thought it was fine, man. I'm old school, man. I've seen it like half a dozen times, I've seen it with Lockett. We've seen it with Dunstall. And the last time we saw it was with Buddy and his 100th goal, So,
that's right, yes.
So I thought it was fine.
What a shame we couldn't have done it with Favola on the same night at the same ground. We only got to 99, unfortunately. But anyway.
That's right.
There was a little mongrel who stopped that from happening. Put about 18 players on him.
Yeah, well, he did what he had to do.
Yes, I know.
You're right.
So what did you make of all that? Did you like the moment? I couldn't help but really get caught up in the moment. It was a fantastic moment in football.
I thought it was great. There's no way you're going to stop the crowd. I thought it was good. Everyone pretty much behaved, The only thing I would have done is I would have had, say, 20 security guard right there on the
around him. Yeah.
Soon as it happened, run out around him. There was only like 3 to the left.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. That's, I think, the thing. I think that he was almost suffocated with fans, ruffling his hair and patting him on the back. And, who knows what other parts of his body some of them were going for. But at the end of the day, I think I agree with you. I think there should have been some more security guards around him.
But apart from that, look, it was good. I thought he handled it perfectly. Like, he smiled through the whole thing.
He did.
And I think he took it as this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. He has to remember it. This will never happen again. When is anyone going to get like 20,000 people tap you on the shoulder and tap you on the head for doing something great? I think he had to enjoy it, and he did. And I think
no doubt that he did.
Yeah, he did. He didn't get upset. You could see, like, even Grant, he was trying
I thought he kept his cool. I thought he really kept his cool under a lot of pressure too. I mean, the people, jostling him from one side to the other was just. It
was just amazing.
A lot of people felt a bit uncomfortable about it.
It's gone around the world. It's just an amazing sight. I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it was good. Good to see. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to do it in round 21 when Harry kicks his 100.
Yeah, well, wouldn't that be nice? Now, one of the other things that happened there is that a young Sydney Swans fan caught the ball that Franklin kicked through the goals, and initially he sort of kept it and ran for the hills, I think, thinking he'd gotten a hold of something pretty valuable and pretty special, which it is. But thankfully, the good news is that this young bloke has agreed to hand the ball back, and there's going to be something happening, I believe, on Tuesday with the club, where there's going to be the handing over of the ball from him to Buddy Franklin, and I think he's going to be invited to the club to do that, and there'll be the usual media circus around it.
Exactly. That's exactly what was going to happen. He could never hold on to that ball.
No.
You know what it reminded me of?
People would have known exactly who he was, because it was pretty clear who he was on the vision.
You couldn't hide it. And you would have been known as a real doofus for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's right.
You ever seen Everybody Loves Raymond? The exact same thing happened.
I didn't see that episode.
So there's an episode where Frank the dad, he catches the ball and then he runs out. They don't show it, but they show him coming home with the ball. And then he goes out, and they say you have to give back the ball, and he goes on the radio and goes, yeah, for $10,000 I'll get it. And he's all like happy. And Raymond's a reporter, and he kind of like he tells him. And at the end of the day, then the player and his father come down to see him. And he ends up giving the ball back, you know.
Right.
And they offer him like all this money. They offer him like as much money as they had. They're only poor people, and they took it. And he could never hold. I'm telling you, it's almost like the exact same script. You know, this is never going to be able to hold on to that ball. And I think, you know what? It's good. He gets the ball. I think it's good. He hands it over. He gets to meet Buddy. He gets his 15 minutes of fame out of it. He probably gets something signed from him, you know, and all that. I think it works out. It works out perfectly. Now, I'm amazed. Of course, someone was going to catch the ball and run off with it. Like, did you see it? If you actually look at the footage, we actually show it on the Jumper Punch. There's some footage where they start running onto the ground before he kicks it. So I'm thinking to myself, what happens?
Thank goodness he kicked it. Yeah,
I know. So look, it was an amazing.
I think 30 meters out, you know, was always going to be, you know, 99% chance he was going to kick it from there. But I mean, the whole world was, you know, basically in anticipation of him kicking the goal at that stage. Even Channel 7 had some sort of live video going within 2 seconds of him marking the ball. They started this live video thing, so they must have known that it's going to happen right now. But
it was just perfect, and it's good that it's out of the way now. For Buddy, it is. It's good that it's out of the way, and now he can concentrate on.
There was another interesting side story to the Buddy Franklin 1000th goal in terms of the crowd running onto the ground. Did you happen to see the incident that got reported with former Carlton player, now Geelong player, Zach Toohey?
Yeah.
A fan was making a beeline towards the Buddy Franklin area and happened to bump straight into Zach, who basically knocked everything out of his hands purely in self-defence.
Yeah.
And the fan thought nothing of it, kept running in his frenzy to get towards Buddy Franklin, and happened to leave his keys and wallet on the ground. And Zach Toohey, the class act that he is, what a great guy. I happened to speak to him a few times when he was at Carlton. He's a really lovely guy. And he picked up the guy's keys and wallet and ran back towards him and, handed it back. How good was that?
That's good. That was funny. The way he ran into it was like he ran into a brick wall.
It was, wasn't it?
He just ran in.
Toohey just stood there, and the guy just bounced off him, and so did his keys and wallet. Yeah. But he actually ran after the guy. He actually tried to find him, and he did. He chased after him and gave him back his keys and his wallet. Yeah. How good a story is that?
That's really good. That's really good. So something like that was bound to happen.
Zach actually said, the guy actually thought I was coming after him because he ran into him.
Chasing after him. Yeah, that's it. How good's that?
Wow. It is a good story. Great story. So I guess all good there after the Buddy Franklin 1000th goal. I guess the AFL would be breathing a sigh of relief that sort of finally it happened, finally over. There was a lot of speculation about it. There were some people that were thinking even last year that he might have got to the big milestone at the end of last year, but he finally got to it in the right circumstances on his home ground in front of his adoring home fans. But I've got to ask you this: what did you think now? I guess it's been this is his ninth. I think it's his ninth. Is it? I could be wrong. I think it's his ninth season now at Sydney. He was picked up on a 9-year, $10 million over 9 years. That's what it was. So this is the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
In hindsight, what did you think of the recruiting decision and the basis on which they recruited him, offering him a 9-year deal and $10 million?
So did they win a premiership? No. So
no. But is it always
does it always have to be measured? The success or otherwise of a recruiting decision like that, should it always be measured on the premiership ultimately, or can you say that, hey, over those 9 years, he gave us a lot of great service. He kicked a lot of amazing goals. He got the crowd through the turnstiles. He drove membership and all that. Because Sydney Swans seems to be a club that needs that sort of marquee player for the Sydney population to keep following the Sydney Swans.
Yeah, of course. No, exactly. Look, we did it with Chris Judd. Like, it's not necessarily the premierships. Like,
sure.
I mean, they got close.
So they did make 2 grand finals in 2014, which ironically they lost to Hawthorn, where Buddy came from. In fact, he played for Hawthorn the year before that in a premiership against Fremantle. So he went from playing with Hawthorn in 2013 in a premiership side to playing in a losing grand final side for Sydney against Hawthorn in 2014. And then, of course, he played in the 2016 grand final as well against the Bulldogs, which the Western Bulldogs famously won. Yeah. So he's played in 2 grand finals, but just didn't quite get over the line for a premiership.
I think it's a success. It's a success to get Buddy out there, as I said, what he's done for the club. And, look, they've been competitive the whole time. So you can't say it's hard to win a premiership, Even if you got the best side, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win it, So I think it's been a big success. They did it with Lockett. They did it with Barry Hall before that. They did Lockett, Barry Hall, and now Plugger, So
and Warwick Kappa back in the mid-80s.
Yeah, the big time. Yeah, that's right, Warwick Kappa. Yeah, so they've always wanted that big forward. They always get it. And look, how lucky are they? The last 2 big goal kickers. I mean, so Lockett kicked his 1,000 goals with Sydney too, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he broke the record of 1,300 because he ended up kicking 1,360 in the end. But I think he did that at Sydney. I think he did that in 1995, if I'm not mistaken.
He did that in Sydney, and I actually remember it.
Which was our premiership year.
Yeah, I think it was the opposite pocket, but and it was a mongrel punt. I remember, but so when he broke it, so he
was that the 1,000? Was that his 1,000th, or was that the 1,300? Because the previous record was 1,299 by Gordon Coventry.
The one I'm thinking about, I think it was the 1,300th goal. Yeah, and then Plugger. Well, we were going to talk about, but then quickly. But didn't Plugger leave and then come back to Sydney a year later or something, and then kick in another 20 or 30 goals? He should never have come back, But so they've been.
I'm not sure. I've got a feeling that the 1995 one might have been his 1,000th, because he kept playing until the early 2000s. Don't forget, he played 1996 grand final for Sydney in a losing side against North Melbourne, and he kept playing. I'm pretty sure now, if he had kicked his 1,300 in 1995 and he ends up only kicking 1,360, what, for another 5 seasons? No, that doesn't.
Right. Doesn't work. It was 95, and then the other one was a 1,300 that he kicked. Yeah. Look, it's definitely a success for Richmond. For Sydney.
For Sydney. Don't know where Richmond came from there.
I don't know, but definitely a success.
Well, look, we'll talk about one last topic before we finish up tonight, and that is the crowds. What have you made of the crowd numbers so far in the first 2 rounds? Are you satisfied that the AFL's got this right, or are there still factors that are restricting crowds from attending? And I guess I'm pointing towards COVID restrictions, not allowing unvaccinated people into the ground. For example, Collingwood versus Adelaide at the MCG on Saturday, a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Melbourne, 2:00 game, 36,843 people. I mean, is that acceptable? Is that an acceptable number for a Collingwood home game? I know it's against an interstate team like Adelaide, but gee whiz, for Collingwood to have a membership that they've got and only have 36,000 people at a game. Yeah. And the thing is that they won the first week. You'd think that they'd be up and about.
We only had 34,000 for our game.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
But it was a Thursday night, you know what I mean? So I can understand.
Thursday night, a lot of people have still got work the next day. Kids have got school the next day. But again, are the COVID restrictions having an impact on crowd numbers, I wonder?
I couldn't say. I don't know.
Is it too easy? Is it too easy to just sit back at home and watch it on Foxtel or on Channel 7 or KO or whatever medium you want to use?
To watch it at home. Yeah. So that's definitely getting into the stadium. Let's be serious, man.
Some people were predicting, 45, 50,000 people on Thursday night for the Bulldogs Carlton, but
that's what
I said at the time. I personally said I thought 40 was maximum, but 34 would have been a bit disappointing. I would have thought.
It's definitely disappointing. I watched one of the games today. They normally, did he get knocked out? I was just watching GWS. The cap, what's his name? Davis, the backman. Anyway, St Kilda beat Fremantle by 10 points. Just so
St Kilda's had their first win for the season, beating Fremantle by 10 points at Perth Stadium. So, topsy-turvy season
the
already.
North Melbourne and West Coast game today, I don't think anyone was there. Like, there was nobody there.
Well, that's the thing.
There would have been like 20,000 people in there. I know it's West Coast, but that's disappointing. I think definitely COVID is definitely going to make an impact. As you said, the viewers, watching it nice and easy at home. I think that makes a bit of an impact. I don't think
it's always been the case, Rocco, that you can just sit at home and watch it. But maybe the last couple of years of restrictions and lockdowns and whatever has made people get used to doing that. Just stay at home and watch the footy.
Yeah, 100%.
What about things like food prices and car parking and all that? Are they factors that are restricting crowds? Do you think? Because it's not exactly cheap to take. Let me say that again. It's not exactly cheap to take the family to a football game when you've got pies at $5 or $6 each and chips at $7 for a little container of chips or something, and a hot dog might be $8 or something. So
yeah, definitely.
Does that have an impact on why people are going to the footy or not?
I think so, and it shouldn't, because you don't really need to get food there if you don't want to. But it shouldn't. But you're right. If you got to go and buy food, it's definitely if you got a family of 2 or 3, it's definitely it's a big impact on your wallet. It's huge. You got to go there, and you're right with the parking, but you got trains. Look, at the end of the day, there shouldn't be an excuse for people not getting out there. Like we even said, this week against Hawthorn, we should be getting 60,000 people there. And I can't see why we can't. But there shouldn't be an excuse why. Look, all right, COVID, but why aren't you going to the footy now? Ask yourself that. Why aren't you going now? You're not vaccinated. Come on, man. Everyone's got fake vaccinations out there, man. They don't even look. You just show them anything, man, and they just make it go through. So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, but the people that want to do that are going to do it anyway. I'm talking about the people that are just saying, well, I'm not vaccinated. I'm protesting here. I'm not going to go. I'm just not going to go to the football. They don't want to let me in. Stuff them. I won't go.
Maybe, but they're missing out. It's not their fault.
But should the AFL be reconsidering their position on that? I mean, it's happening all around the world. In England, for example, there are absolutely no more restrictions at all anywhere for anyone, whether you're vaccinated, not vaccinated. You got COVID, you tested positive, you don't test positive, doesn't matter. Anyone can do anything.
Yeah. No, the AFL won't do it.
But Australia seems to be the last bastion of the controlling government, because we're still under some sort of government controls here.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Everywhere else around the world, they're just letting go of they're letting go of the reins now. They're just saying, we have to just let go because the population's not listening to us anymore. They're just doing whatever they want.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. They're definitely down a little bit. It could be a bit of that, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Everyone will get back to normal and that. Look, the crowd is still not bad. It's still pretty good. Like we got 74,000 and then 34,000. So look, it could be. It could be. Look, everyone's just starting to get used to it. I'm noticing on trains and that too, they're starting to get a bit more like loaded up, you know. It took a bit of time. A lot of people are still worried about the COVID. So they're not traveling or they're not going to a game because they're worried they're going to get sick or die, you know. So even with the trains, they're full, but they're not as full as here we have him. We have Joe.
And here's our illustrious leader whose face is about 3 times bigger than yours and mine on the screen at the moment.
Well,
Joe, nice to see you.
I've just finished teaching. How's that? Is that a bit better?
Just sit back a little bit more.
I can't. I'm standing.
Oh, you're standing, right.
As you can see, I have the whiteboard here. So I'll impress you. I can write my name in Thai.
Okay, all right. That's fine, Joe.
There you go.
Very good.
It looks like hieroglyphics, but it is.
Well, just before we sign off on our show, I just wanted to say thanks so much to the great Rocco Stagnetti from the Jumper Punch. And if anyone missed it at the start of the show, don't forget to tune in every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on Blue Abroad with the Jumper Punch show. And, of course, the Jumper Punch channel on YouTube, of which Rocco has now started, along with the Sebastiani cousins. Oh, look at that. How's that? He's got the illuminated sign as well.
I've got to say, Rocco, you guys are getting a bit high-tech there.
Oh, yeah. We've got Mars, man. We can't not be high-tech. We've got Mars now.
That's right.
Very, very, very high. Oh, he's even got a remote control for it.
I like it. And do you know who made up that sign for him, Joe?
Yeah, Heath Scotland.
Yeah, the great Heath Scotland. So.
Do you know, I can't remember what birthday it was of mine, but Heath Scotland was playing for Carlton, and my friend was working in a pub in Preston or something, and Heath Scotland came in for a drink, and my mate said, can you write my friend a birthday greeting, you know? And he picked up a beer coaster. I've still got it at home, and it's got, Dear Joe, get effed. Heath.
That would be Scotto. Yes, that would be Scotto.
That is perfect.
So I've kept it. So
all right, everyone. Well, this is brought to an end another episode of Blue Sunday. Hopefully we join you next Sunday after a big win against Hawthorn. You never know. We might be 3-0. But Rocco, again, thanks so much, mate.
Before you go, predictions. Go, Joe. What's your prediction?
Carlton, just a couple of goals. But it depends. I mean, we're going to get Chera and probably Martin back.
Yep.
So,
in place of who is the question? In place of who? Who are you going to drop?
Loccisano and Stagnetti, I think, are out. They're out.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think Fogarty might go.
Really?
Yeah, well, I know he played a good game, but who you're not going to. Okay, are you going to leave Chera out of the team to play in the VFL?
No, he's got to come in.
You don't bring Martin back in.
You don't think Martin deserves to get back in?
I don't think.
He played one good quarter against Richmond.
He kicked one good goal, I suppose. I don't know, but
it's a good dilemma. It's a good dilemma. It's a good dilemma to have.
For once, we've got good problems, not bad problems.
Right.
And good to see Lockie O'Brien holding his spot in the side for the time being.
Yes.
Anyway,
Paddy Dow will join him.
Yeah, maybe.
Paddy Dow got 35 and a goal in the reserve, so he's doing the right things. So what about
pressure,
you?
Rocco? That's all we can ask for is pressure on the guys in the ones. That's all we can ask for.
With the pressure, and then see what happens.
Yep.
That's
well,
really
I think it'll be a very close game, and I'm predicting Carlton by 8 points.
10 goals.
No, 8 points. 8 points will do.
Yeah, I think we'll win by 3. 18 points, I say.
Hawthorn, I'm not underestimating. They showed some really good form last night against Port Adelaide.
Yeah, no,
so it'll be a good game.
I watched that. Port Adelaide they just didn't look themselves.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Yeah, but you can only beat them by. I mean, to beat them by 10 goals on their home deck, that's a pretty good side that can do that.
Oh, I know. I'd be happy if we beat them by 5 goals on their home deck. I'd be happy if we beat them by 5 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Rocco, who do you think?
What about you, Rocco? What's your prediction?
I'm going to go. I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid here, so I think it's about a 4-goal victory to the Blues.
4-goal victory to the Blues.
Let's hope.
I'll tell you what, that position you're in there looks like you've got a big fist coming out of the top of your head. All right, mate. Again, thanks very much, and looking forward to another episode of the Jumper Punch on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on YouTube.
Yeah, everyone watch. All right, guys.
All right,
thanks
mate.
for stepping in, Rocco. All right, cheers.
Go Blues.
Go Blues.
Cheers.